am glad that I waited to watch Saturday's Houston Texans preseason opener until late last night. Had a good weekend with the girlfriend. We watched a lot of Righteous Gemstones. She introduced me to a rapper called Lil Dicky, which I'd never heard of. Then we watched a bunch of a TV show, Dave. We had a great time watching things that we liked. I hate watching preseason football. I've been out on preseason football since the days where I was forced to work entire 6 to 7 hour days covering preseason football when I was over at the flagship. It felt like I was being held at gunpoint. I wasn't actually, but I mean, you're a man in your 20s. It's a Saturday in August. You want to go to the pool. You want to hang out with your friends. Instead, you're watching fake football, which is getting progressively worse by the year. So the Texans played the Vikings Saturday in Minnesota, and as expected, almost none of the players you wanted to see played. Sean, I have a question for you. Can you guess what the average price of a ticket was at US Bank Stadium in Minnesota for Saturday's game? The average price of a ticket.
It's going to be disappointingly high.
Yes, it is.
50?
$78.
Oh, my God.
$78 to watch that game. A game where, on the Vikings side, Justin Jefferson was mic'd up for a full quarter, never even put on pads. And on the Texans side, all the Texans starters did the same thing. You didn't see anyone of consequence out there for the Texans. No C.J. Stroud, no Nico Collins, Joe Mixon's hurt, no Dalton Schultz, none of the integral offensive linemen, no Titus Howard, no Laken Tomlinson, no Will Anderson, no Danielle Hunter, no Derek Stingley, no Kamari Lassiter, no Kalen Bullock. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Ka'imi Fairbairn, we got to see him. Woohoo!
Yeah.
He hit a field goal.
Look good.
He also butchered one of the kickoffs in this game. $78. Imagine if you'd gone up to that game, not knowing what we know about the preseason, because we know how awful it is and what an FU it is to football fans everywhere. Imagine if you had gone up to Minneapolis and thought, I'm going to go watch this game. I brought my whole family. We spent $400 on the tickets to go watch the game, and then we spent a bunch of money on concessions. And then that's what you see. I love the NFL. This is the worst thing that they do. Stealing money from fans who watch preseason games. Guess what the average price for a Texans-Panthers ticket is this coming Saturday at NRG Stadium, Sean?
Gonna be cheaper. It's gonna be $30.
$110.56, at least as far as the average ticket price. Vivid Seats says there are some tickets available for $67. Some say there are some cheap tickets available for $12 because it's probably, unfortunately, sad NFL Texans fans that are like, well, I'm not going to go. I want to get something in return for it. And the NFL makes it so difficult to get rid of these tickets because on the second market, if you sell a preseason ticket, they're like, no, you have to sell it for the full price. Bruh, you can't make a profit off of this. You can maybe get it for less. It's ridiculous. It is such an FU to all of us. Really is. One of the preseason games this weekend, and it was for legitimate reasons, but Lions-Falcons, like, they just ended it with a quarter left. It's not actually competitive. Like, the point of the game is to get these young players out there in a game situation, which is probably the only game situation that they'll ever be in, and you hope that they swim instead of sink. But for the most part, it's tough, brutal to watch football, and you're paying a ton of money to watch these games in person. So I am now at the point where I will never again watch a preseason game live. Ever. Ever. I feel for all the people who do it. I know some people in my industry do it, and they're looking at me like with an eyebrow raised up and saying, like, you're not doing your job, especially when you consider yourself a football guy. Fair enough. Sorry, I'm not watching that live. I will watch the condensed version on NFL Plus. So it will be 37 minutes instead of 3 hours plus. It is a massive FU by the NFL, which is already doing a lot of that, seeing as if you want to watch every single game this season, it'll cost you a little shy of $700 via all the streaming platforms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's frustrating. I hate it. So just wanted to get that rant off of my chest before we talk about what happened in the game. What did happen in the game, Paul? Well, everyone's favorite moment was C.J. Stroud and his presence on the sideline in a game he didn't dress for. Here is C.J. Stroud being interviewed by Shelby Coppage, who you might know from the Space City Home Network. She fills in on Astros duty from time to time for Julie Morales and for Kevin Eschenfelder, asking CJ Stroud a question. Notice how distracted he gets by what's going on the field.
All right, CJ, I have a question. So when you're in a fan base like this, Vikings, whoever else, and it's crazy loud, how do you handle yourself and communicate with the team?
I think everybody goes back to practice and doing it in practice. So you make it hard in practice when you come out here in these environments. They're not as bad. So you make it harder on yourself in practice, so when you come out here, it's a little easier.
So distracted. He's clearly on autopilot giving that answer as it is, but he's distracted by what's going on the field. I also watched the Vikings broadcast of the Texans-Vikings game because that was the one that was the condensed version, and Justin Jefferson did an entire quarter on the sideline, and the entire time he was just like basically going off to the side in the middle of the interview and talking with teammates and then watching the field. And I think Paul Allen, who is noted for being a little bit of a loud mouth as far as play-by-play guys go, I could tell he was getting annoyed. It was kind of funny. But bringing it back to CJ, what's great about CJ right there, did you notice that? He was distracted by what's going on in the game. Always locked in, even if he's not playing. That's my quarterback.
Even if it's a game where Keaton Slovis and Graham Mertz combined to throw 30 passes.
I will say Keaton Slovis didn't look bad. Davis Mills didn't look bad.
Graham Mertz?
We'll get to Graham Mertz. There was also a moment where CJ Stroud, so locked in, called a timeout for D'Amico Ryans. Now, you could say, that's some game management issues for D'Amico Ryans in a preseason game, but I don't really know what game management situations happen during a preseason game, but CJ Stroud motioned to a referee to call a timeout, apparently. So there's that. Also, it was Nick Caley's first game as offensive coordinator. He's a booth guy. Not on the field. He's in the booth. Bobby Sloak was on the field. Nick Caley in the booth.
I think I like the booth a little bit better.
It makes a little more sense. Probably get a little bit more
bird's eye view.
Bird's eye view, but also less distractions, less moving around.
Yeah.
I actually think it makes more sense if you are a coordinator to be up there because when you're in the middle of it, it is very distracting. Like all those game management decisions that we talk about being so easy because we've played Madden, you get on the field and you're walking around. It's definitely a little bit different for sure. I say this as somebody who coached in a game this summer, the Blondes versus Brunette game. It was interesting doing that. Had a great timeout call in that game.
The CJ Stroud-esque.
Yeah. I was locked in.
The winning mentality.
Now maybe we weren't as locked in preparations leading up to it, but we were outgunned in that game. Other notes from the preseason game. So not a lot of starters out there. Left to right, you had Ariante Ursary, the rookie, who's getting a lot of praise from vets. Juice Scruggs at left guard. Jake Andrews at center. Right guard Ed Ingram. Right tackle Blake Fisher. The offensive line graded pretty well, and those who are in the know seem to believe that they handled exotic, jazzy stuff from the defensive line like stunts and slants a little bit better. But, then again, remember this. It's a preseason game. I'm going to do a new segment going forward because of all the times that Houston Texans call each other dogs, and it's going to be the dogs of the game. And I'm going to tell you the 3 dogs that I like, and I'm going to tell you the dogs I didn't like. So who are the border collies, because I like border collies. They're the smartest dog. They're cute. Of Texans Vikings on Saturday. Number 1, third down Braxton Berrios. Braxton Berrios kept on getting open when he needed to. Whether it was for Davis Mills or Keaton Slovis, might be able to fight his way onto the roster. He's going to have to do some stuff as a returner, but he was the first returner out there. Dare Ogunbowale! He was also out there. Looked pretty good running behind that offensive line. Jalen Knoll, rookie wide receiver from Iowa State. He had a nice catch on a pass that wasn't so great towards the sideline, was able to turn upfield, cut a couple extra yards, caught a screen and slipped upfield somehow. I think it got taken back by injury. And honorable mention for a couple of guys. I thought Russ Yeast and Jamal Hill defensively were all over the place, and that Woody Marks did a pretty good job in blitz pickup. Here are the pugs of the game. The pugs. Pugs are disgusting abominations to the Lord. They are. You know it. I know it. Blake Fisher. Good God. Didn't think it could get worse. It did. He was terrible. Dudes were blowing by him. Got called for a false start. I would be concerned if I were Blake Fisher about making this roster. He was awful. Number 2, Graham Mertz. Good God, dude. Graham Mertz could have thrown easily 5 interceptions in the second half. Had flashbacks to watching Graham Mertz at Florida. Goodness gracious. Not fun. And the other pug of the game, D'Angelo Ross in coverage, not so great. D'Angelo Ross is more of a special teamer, playing cornerback, but he was constantly getting beat in coverage and out-physicaled in coverage, and he had an interception that he could have had. It bounced right off his hands. Rough. Also, Jawar Jordan muffed the punt. Not so great.